I don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
He spent over a decade fighting to prove his identity. But now, Rymir Satchel says his journey for truth has opened up something far more sinister. This isn't just about DNA anymore. According to him, it's about fear, control, and a calculated silence orchestrated by two of the most powerful figures in hip-hop. After chasing a paternity test from Jay-Z, the man he believes is his biological father, Rymir, says he got something else entirely. He says instead of answers, he got warnings. Not just from lawyers, but from people tied to Diddy. Rymir claims he faced threats, intimidation, and legal roadblocks every step of the way. And now, what once seemed like a personal case has ballooned into a...
Like they once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
Full-blown conspiracy. A twisted saga where Jay-Z and Diddy allegedly worked behind the scenes to suppress the truth. Not just to protect their image, but to protect something far more dangerous. In a new court filing, Rymir drops a bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the entire industry. He claims Diddy's people didn't reach out to talk things over. They came to intimidate. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. The message couldn't be clearer. Stop digging, back off Jay-Z, and drop the case. But Rymir didn't flinch. And now, he says he's exposing what he calls a brotherhood of silence. This isn't just about two men shielding each other. Rymir describes it as a dark alliance between Jay-Z and Diddy. One built not on business, but on fear, cover-ups, and mutual blackmail. On the surface, they were just two moguls clinking champagne at billion.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, the industry's filled with gangsters.
Billionaire brunches, praising each other as visionary kings of hip-hop. But behind the scenes, Rymir says their bond operates like a syndicate. Not just protecting themselves, but crushing anyone who threatens to reveal what lies underneath. So what exactly are the secrets that Rymir is daring to drag into the light? Let's start with what he claims is happening right now. According to Rymir, Jay-Z isn't just watching Diddy spiral into legal chaos, he's allegedly the cleanup crew. Behind the scenes, he's pulling strings, funding Diddy's legal defense, bribing key witnesses, and even sending out lawyers to muzzle the loudest critics, all while staying publicly untouched. Rymir says this isn't friendship, it's damage control. And the reason? Rymir claims they're protecting a shared past, a dark, tangled history that's been buried for decades. Let's rewind. When Rymir's mother, Wanda, tried to force a paternity test in 2010, the case didn't just stall, it vanished in a maze of technical delays, jurisdiction swaps, and legal tricks. At one point, Jay-Z's attorney lied to the court, claiming he didn't own property in New Jersey. Later, she admitted it was false. Rymir now calls that fraud not a mistake, but a strategy. More than a decade later, those same lawyers are being accused of obstruction, deceit, and denying a child his legal rights. This was never just about paternity, it was about silencing a vulnerable boy before he could speak. Why wouldn't I believe my mom? Rymir says, we could have settled this with just a conversation. But instead, he was met with silence, delay, and manipulation. All because he dared to ask who his father is. And here's where things take a darker turn. Wanda's sworn statement says she was just 16 years old when she allegedly got pregnant by Jay-Z in 1992. That shifts the entire situation into dangerous legal territory. If a paternity test confirms Rymir's claim, Jay-Z could face retroactive legal exposure far beyond child support. And when you add Diddy's current scandals to the mix, suddenly their brotherhood looks less like friendship and more like mutual protection. Let's not kid ourselves, Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. They've shared stages, clubs, and even courtrooms. In 2000, both were allegedly tied to a now infamous after-party where unspeakable acts involving a minor were said to have occurred. The lawsuit names them both. Jay-Z denies everything, threatening to expose anyone who accuses him. Diddy has stayed completely silent. But Rymir says Jay-Z is moving mountains behind the scenes to keep it that way. In a new court filing, just dropped a bomb so big it's echoing through every corner of the industry. He claims Diddy's people didn't reach out to talk or settle, no, they came with threats. Over and over again, they warned him, stop digging, leave Jay-Z alone, and walk away from the case. But he didn't flinch. Now he says he's exposing what he calls a brotherhood of silence, a dark alliance between Jay-Z and Diddy built on fear, secrets, and mutual protection. We've seen them toast champagne at billionaire brunches and throw million-dollar parties while calling each other brothers in business. But Rymir claims this isn't a friendship, it's a syndicate. a system designed to bury the past and silence anyone who knows too much. He says they're not just guarding their own reputations, they're suppressing others to keep the skeletons locked away, and what's worse, they've allegedly been doing this for decades. The deeper you look, the darker it gets. From the 1999 nightclub shooting that nearly ruined Diddy's empire, to Jay-Z's alleged altercation with Lance Rivera, it's clear this isn't new. Rymir paints them not as cultural kings, but as kingpins. He calls their network a machine by intimidation, protected by silence, and paid for with more than just music money. And get this, he says, Diddy isn't even the mastermind. He's just the mask. Once that explosive documentary on Diddy drops, Rymir says the spotlight will shift hand, all eyes will turn to Jay-Z. Because when you start pulling on this thread, the whole sweater unravels. Rymir isn't the only one speaking up. Insiders, lawyers, and even other alleged victims are coming forward. They talk of NDAs, cash settlements, and private investigators sent to track down anyone who knows too much. Some whisper there's an unofficial blacklist in the industry. Speak against certain names, and your career dies. Others say it's not. Just careers on the line, it's lives. Take Aaliyah, for instance, linked to both Jay-Z and Diddy before her tragic plane crash. Some say she held secrets too dangerous to share, and maybe, just maybe, her silence wasn't her choice. What if Rymir's right? What if this isn't just gossip? What if it's the truth? How many lawsuits vanished? How many settlements kept things quiet? How many headlines disappeared before they could spread? Rymir says, this isn't about clout or revenge. This is about truth. If I have to fight for all of us, I will, he said. But I won't let anyone, Jay-Z, the courts, or anyone else walk over me. If we can't even go to court to get justice, what's the point of having a court? And that's exactly what Rymir's doing, dragging the illusion into the light. This isn't just a case against Jay-Z, it's a war against the system. Judges, lawyers, executives, he says, they're all part of the cover-up. From sealed files to shadowy threats, the pushback has been intense. But Rymir refuses to disappear. He's not just after justice, he's trying to tear down what he calls an empire of lies. Right now, it's a civil complaint. But even in civil court, the facts matter. Rymir says he was a traumatized 13-year-old dealing with PTSD and depression. If even half of it is true, this isn't just another lawsuit, it's a crack in the foundation. A rare look at how real power works in Hollywood, where billionaires don't just call lawyers, they call fixers. Where brotherhood doesn't mean loyalty, it means silence. And here's the scariest part, according to Rymir. This isn't even the full story. Diddy, he claims, is just the beginning. Just the iceberg. The real horror lies beneath the surface. A deeper, more dangerous machine that runs the entertainment industry from the shadows. The question now isn't if there's a cover-up. The question is, how far does it go? There's a new court filing that just cracked the ceiling wide open. Isn't just calling out Jay-Z anymore. He's dragging Diddy into the fire. He claims Diddy's people didn't come with lawyers. They came with threats. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. The message: shut up, drop the case, walk away. But Rymir didn't flinch, and now he says he's about to blow the lid off a brotherhood of silence between Jay-Z and Diddy, a pact rooted in fear, secrecy, and protection at all costs. On camera, they played the game, raised at black billionaire brunches, shoulder to shoulder at lavish parties, calling each other brother. But behind closed doors, Rymir says it was more like a syndicate, a high-towered hush-hush mafia, built not just to protect themselves, but to bury anyone who asked too many questions. They weren't just preserving reputations, they were protecting a whole ecosystem of silence, a network, a fortress. And Rymir's trying to kick the door down. This wasn't just one threat. Sources say it's an entire playbook. Veiled warnings, blocked calls, cash offers under the table, court filings vanishing like magic, careers iced overnight. And if you don't take the money, if you don't understand the warning, you just disappear from the media, from Hollywood, from relevance. According to a former ROC Nation insider, you never need to be told what happens next. You feel it in your bones. Because this ain't just about a paternity case anymore, it's about power. It's about a loop of control, a ring of silence, enforced not with fists but with fear, NDAs, and favors. If it was just about Rymir, they could have handled it quietly. But this is about covering for a system, one that may stretch from music labels to boardrooms to late-night Hampton parties with no cameras and no rules. And the names showing up, they ain't random, they're connected. And now those infamous all-white parties are back in focus. Diddy's glitzy Gatsby-inspired bashes were legendary. But according to new whispers, the real party started after the cameras left. One former model told Page 6 there were kids who looked barely legal, girls dressed older, confused, nervous, like they didn't belong. These were the places where stars were made, careers were killed, and silence was the unspoken entry fee. Substances passed without a second glance, phones taken, footage allegedly recorded in secret, the kind of stuff the FBI is now sniffing around, but still no charges. Former security guards, assistants, stylists, they've all started talking in whispers. The vibe, don't trust anyone, especially in Hollywood, where no is a foreign word and danger hides behind diamond chains and designer suits. And Jay-Z, he wasn't miles away, he was right there, jet to jet with Diddy. Matching fits, matching flights, matching silence. They weren't just friends, they were a unit. But now that lawsuits are flying and names are coming out, that closeness might be a ticking time bomb. Because if even half these allegations are real, Jay-Z's proximity means he knew, maybe even more than he's letting on. And this morning it's official. Jay-Z is now publicly denying accusations that he sexually assaulted a girl. The timing, not a coincidence. The heat is rising. And if Rymir's right, this isn't just a legal battle, it's the beginning of a collapse. One that could bring down music's most powerful brotherhood. In a new court filing, Rymir just dropped a bombshell that's shaking the industry to its core. He claims Diddy's team didn't come to talk or negotiate. They came to threaten. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Their message: simple. Stop digging, leave Jay-Z alone. Drop the case. But Rymir didn't back down. Now he's exposing what he calls a brotherhood of silence, a chilling alliance between Jay-Z and Diddy, built on fear, secrecy, and mutual protection. For years, the public watched these two toast champagne at billionaire brunches, throw luxury parties, and praise each other as brothers. But Rymir says that's all a front. Behind the scenes, this brotherhood behaves more like a sin themselves, in silencing anyone who gets too close to the truth. He says this isn't just about power, it's about control. And it's worked. Until now, the timing couldn't be more explosive. A civil lawsuit filed against Diddy last year has just been updated, and guess who's now named alongside him? Jay-Z. The accuser, known as Jane Doe, claims she was sexually assaulted by both men. Suddenly, Rymir's case isn't just about paternity. It's about pulling the curtain back on an entire machine fueled by silence and intimidation. And let's not act surprised. This is the same industry where whistleblowers vanish overnight, where insiders retire suddenly, where party regulars start unfollowing each other and posting cryptic messages like clockwork. We've seen this script before when rumors become headlines and headlines become evidence. So when Rymir says Jay-Z is next to fall, it's not just gossip, it's a warning. One accuser claims she was just 13 years old when she was assaulted and that Jay-Z was right there. The timeline is clear. The details are horrifying. Jay-Z denied it all and challenged her to press charges. But critics say that's a classic billionaire move. Civil court is often the only way survivors can fight back when going up against billionaires with entire legal armies behind them. And here's the catch: what if survivors can't get justice? What if the system is rigged before they even file? Rymir says records were sealed without explanation. Judges stepped away without cause. Sanctions were imposed for breaking rules that never existed. He says the obstruction isn't just coming from Jay-Z or Diddy, it's coming from the system itself. That's terrifying. Because if these two men can allegedly manipulate courts, silence victims, and bury evidence, what else are they capable of? A phrase keeps popping up: the brotherhood of silence. It sounds theatrical until you realize what it means. A pact among elite men, where loyalty trumps truth, where image matters more than justice. Rymir says it's real, and that it's still active even now, when lawsuits are piling up. Meanwhile, Jay-Z puts on the fatherly act, saying he raised his daughters to look for a man with his values. He even bragged about Beyoncé's song, Daddy, saying she hoped to find someone just like him. But behind that image lies a darker question. What values are being hidden behind that billion-dollar smile? This is bigger than just Jay-Z's alleged secret son. It's about a music industry run by a few powerful men who make or break careers over dinner parties and secret deals. Where speaking out isn't courageous, it's dangerous. Where the wrong word can get your album shelved, your tour canceled, and your phone turned cold overnight. And sometimes, if you cross the wrong person, you don't just disappear from the charts, you disappear from existence. Rymir's not just naming names, he's threatening to unravel the very foundation these men built. If he succeeds, this won't just be another scandal, it'll be the collapse of a dynasty. Which brings us to the question haunting this whole saga. Was Aaliyah's tragic death the beginning of this unholy pact? She was romantically tied to Jay-Z, close to Damon Dash, and a rising icon. But when she died, a power vacuum was left behind. And who stepped in? The very men now under fire. Aaliyah wasn't just a star, she was a force. And her absence shifted the balance of power. What if her death wasn't just a tragedy, but the start of something far more sinister? So, what secrets are we really talking about here? Let's start with what Rymir claims is happening right now. Jay-Z, he says, isn't just watching Diddy drown in legal chaos, he's allegedly jumping in to clean up the mess. According to Rymir's sources, Jay-Z is quietly pulling strings, bankrolling Diddy's legal defense, bribing witnesses, and sending high-powered lawyers to shut people up, and he's doing it all while keeping his image squeaky clean. This isn't loyalty, it's because, according to Rymir, what they're really hiding is a decades-long chain of crimes that could bring everything crashing down. Let's rewind. Jay-Z has dodged the paternity issue with calculated precision for over a decade. When Rymir's mother Wanda tried to get a court-ordered DNA test in 2010, the case bounced between jurisdictions, dismissed on technicalities, delayed by stalling tactics. At one point, Jay-Z's attorney even told the court he didn't own any property in New Jersey, something she later admitted was a lie. Rymir's latest filings claimed this wasn't just legal maneuvering, it was flat-out fraud, and he says, the courts helped make it happen. Now, over 10 years later, those same lawyers are being accused of obstruction, deception, and denying him due process. But this was never just about fatherhood. According to Rymir, it was about silencing a young, vulnerable voice before it could grow too loud. Why wouldn't I believe my mom? Rymir asked in an interview. This could have been solved with a conversation. I'm not out to ruin anyone, I'm not even angry. But they just expected me to sit back and take it. And that's something he refuses to do. Wanda's sworn affidavit claims she was only 16 when she allegedly got pregnant by Jay-Z in 1992. That detail changes everything. If a paternity test proves Rymir's story, Jay-Z could be facing far more serious allegations than just neglect. And this is where things get even darker. Jay-Z and Diddy have a long, tangled history, not just as collaborators, but as partners in survival. Through clubs, courtrooms, and controversy, they've allegedly had each other's backs. In one lawsuit, both are named in connection to a 2000 after-party where horrific things allegedly happened to a minor. Jay-Z has denied it all and threatened to expose anyone who speaks his name. Diddy, he's remained eerily silent. But Rymir says Jay-Z is working hard behind the scenes too. Make sure that silence holds. Because the fallout wouldn't just destroy Diddy, it could crack open the foundation. Jay-Z stands on dot, and then there's the conspiracy. No one wants to touch Aaliyah, a prodigy, loved by many, and gone far too soon. Her death in 2001 wasn't just a tragedy, it shifted the power dynamics in the music industry. Some insiders claim her passing wasn't fate, but a calculated reset. The whispers say her death opened the door for others to rise, including Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Fans point to the bizarre details: an overloaded plane, a sketchy pilot, a last-minute flight no one needed to take. The theories sound wild, until you realize how eerily convenient her absence was for the empire that followed. To those watching closely, this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a signal. A message that in this business, power comes at a price, and silence is the currency. Jay-Z rarely speaks of Aaliyah, and Diddy. His connections to her remain shrouded in mystery. Yet both men's careers exploded in her absence. Did her death clear the path for something bigger, something more controlled? It's the kind of theory you can't prove, but you also can't unhear. The Brotherhood of Silence, as some call it, might not just be protecting the present, it might be burying a much darker past. Now here we are. Rymir's lawsuit could be the start of something massive, or just the final scream before the industry slams the door shut once again. He says he's not backing down, but history shows this machine doesn't lose easily. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of an empire's unraveling, or just another scandal swept under the rug? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're watching. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, in this business, the glitz is never the whole story.